Okay, Alex Reyes here from Point Fighter Radio, and I'm here with the one and only Manny Reyes Jr. Everybody knows he's my brother as well. So this is gonna be an interesting interview here. So Manny, your last fight today, why the Redlands? Why did you pick this tournament and this opponent? You're fighting Mohammed Sykes, right?
So, yeah, Johnny Sykes Mohammed.
Why this tournament and why this opponent? Why retire right now?
Well, it's three questions in one. Let me go first with my opponent. My opponent was the only one that took the fight. I mean, I set out an open challenge to anybody, didn't matter what age you are. I mean, and he's the one that, he's been wanting to fight me for a while, point fighting, but I was doing continuous. So he's the only one that bid on the offer to fight me. And I respect him for that. Johnny Sykes Mohammed, fighter from the Nation of Islam, Herbie Thompson fighter, so hardcore old school fighter. And as far as why now, I have a lot going on at 44 years old. You know, I have a lot of business transactions that are happening with pre-construction land that I purchased. So everybody knows Lucy's my manager, but not only in the fight game, but in life. And we got set up with some good pre-construction land. We just bought a condo. You know, a lot of business things going on. So I cannot wait. A lot of people say, why didn't you do it at your father's tournament in November? It just made sense to do it now because, you know, between my business projects that are happening, me working for my father, you know, at the school, I got so much going on. And one of the main things why I had to do it now is because my son, Manny, the third, he's going into football in June. And I really need to be there for him 100%. And fighting just takes up too much time.
Yeah.
And it's time, 30 years, man, you know.
Yeah, you know, there was a time that there was a lot of, you know, talks with Bobby Dixon fight, but, you know, that fell out, you know, that fight didn't fall through. And I know that some people were saying that you backed down, but we all know that you fought some of the best, you know, some of the best in point fighting, kickboxing, even guys that have fought in the UFC and MMA. You know, just what happened with that fight? Why didn't it happen with Bobby?
Bobby, from what I understand from his son wrote to me that Bobby had not fought in 16 years or something, right? 16, that's a long layoff, man. I don't care if you're training, it's not the same. I mean, you could train all you want, but to be in the ring like I've been 30 straight years, that's a big difference. And what happened was that 5 years ago, Bobby would write me late at night for whatever reason. He always did it in the middle of the night. I don't know, you know, I don't know what that was about. 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Oh, I want to fight you for your belts. And this has been going on for 5 years. So, you know, I always told him, come on, let's do it. But then it would tone down. Months would go by, nothing. And now recently, he wanted to do it 2 weeks prior to Starrcade, and that made no sense. And then he claimed he was going to put up this amount of money, and he never did. That was all a lie. And but I respect Bobby and what he did many years ago. I mean, I think Bobby was a good state fighter in Orlando and all that, but I never saw Bobby with my time on the circuit. I don't know what NASCAR tournament.
I think he was really good in full contact.
In full contact, yeah, he was a good boxer. Right, and all that. I mean, he never fought for WCL with Chuck Norris. Yeah. He could have done it back then. Yeah. They had Scott Mooka that was older than him fighting in the WCL. I don't know why Bobby didn't do it in 2006.
Yeah, I think he's a good fighter. Just some people wanted to see that fight, and but it's not going to happen. Obviously, you're retiring, but
it wasn't a fight that was like, it really didn't do nothing for me to fight. But if I would have fought Bobby Dixon 20 years ago, maybe. But this now, you know, it just didn't make sense anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, on another subject that we're gonna hit on is how do you think you're gonna be remembered as? When people think Manny Reyes Jr. in like 10 years, do you think they're gonna remember you for your, you know, point fighting wins, MMA wins, kickboxing wins, or just as a fighter? Or how much do you think they're going to remember you as far as the character? Because you're also a character, you know, and you're outspoken. Do you think at all that anything, is that going to overshadow any of your wins that you've had?
Number one, I'll be honest with you, I don't care what people think about me, to be honest with you, other than my wife, Lucy, and my children, and my inner circle, my family. So that's number one. Number two, what I want to be remembered as is a fighter that was never afraid to get in a cage ring with anybody in any kind of fight. Which I took a fight with Mike Brown on 24 hours notice before he went off to the UFC and so on, and won the WEC title against Uriah Faber. I'll fight anybody anytime, and that's what I want to be remembered for. As far as my character, like,
you put everything out there, and sometimes you're one of these guys that you put everything in. It's like a reality show, and not everybody. If everybody posts everything about them, people may not like, So you kind of think that that's like you put yourself out there, kind of like I see Ernest Miller's told me that he watches you on a daily basis, and he even when he goes to the bathroom, he goes to your page.
Mark Henry.
Ernest and Cat Miller, right?
Yeah, use the bathroom and they.
But do you think that has negative feedback? Negativity as well, since you put yourself out there so much.
I tried to make the fights interesting. I tried to, bring. I see a lot of fighters, and it's why the sport. One of the reasons why it didn't progress like tennis or those individual sports that are out there, you don't have the people. They're not interested in. They want to see the good guy versus the bad guy. The bad guy draws.
Yeah.
And maybe I got it from watching a lot of pro wrestling back then. Ric Flair was my woo. Ric Flair was
at the same time.
Ric Flair was my guy back then. I didn't like Hulk Hogan or the British, but the good guy. I like the bad guys, man. Do you
think that's missing in the sport now?
Yes,
bad guy, because we were the bad guys too.
We were the bad guys.
I've toned it down a lot.
Yes,
but you haven't.
No,
you toned it down a little bit, right? But
the honest truth is this, right?
But do you think the sport needs more rivalries? Everybody's
friends. Yes, man.
Friends with each
I
other.
remember AB Adala, man. Back in my era, when I was fighting, I fought both AB and I fought Pedro Xavier. And I was a super lightweight. Part of the reason I moved down back in the early 90s to super lightweight because I saw that lightweight division with Donald Brady, Pedro Xavier, Kevin Thompson, AB Abdallah. I said, hell no, I'm going to drop weight to get out of here. And then I had to deal with Tony Young, Gabe Renaga, and some other
joke.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah, so really
I thought I had a better chance, and then AB and Pedro, just rivalries, man. It was like, it was like, Nasty Anderson versus some of the heavyweights that were rivals, man. That was it. And everybody, you would see a huge audience around. Now I watch these fights and I watch it, and it's really not there. It's no, and who's really the top guy now? Who? I mean,
there's guys that are in their 30s that are the champions now, and that's true.
But back then, you knew who was the top guy.
Do you think that you're that bad guy, right? But do you think people are just gonna remember like that bad guy and that character instead of your wins over, let's say, your championship? Not saying any names, but you won a lot of people. Yeah. But do you think people are gonna remember that bad guy that people wanted to lose? Because people want you to lose, people want the bad guys to lose,
love that,
right, to go down. But do you think that that's going to be the person you're always going to be remembered for? Do you think that people are going to know about your wins?
Oh no, absolutely, man. My wins are documented. Look at your website, how many fights I got on there. Beating some of the legends, some of the best fighters of all time, Leo Creer, Tony Young. These are legends. People, see, here's the thing.
What's your biggest win?
I guess Raymond Daniels. When I beat Raymond Daniels,
that's the fight that
at the US
when you look
Open,
back in 10 years, right, and say one of my biggest fights, that would say Raymond Daniels.
That had to be one of the first times. And the first time that I won the US Open in 1993, where that day I beat. Not only did I beat Tony Young, I had beaten Donald Brady, who beat Pedro Xavier that same day. Me and Donald fought at night.
You and Raymond Daniels fought like quite a few times that year too, right?
Man, it's weird.
4 or 5 fights that year.
About 4
and
fights.
And it was always close, and that one is where you won it. How about your worst loss ever that you still hurts your gut thinking about it? Do you have any losses like that in any sport? Point fighting, UFC, anything that you would have done differently, or a defeat or regret in your life?
I don't know about the worst loss. In MMA, I guess the Hermes Franca loss, that was a reality check. I just mentally didn't focus on that. If I was too much stuff on the internet, and that was the first time I got knocked out. But the good thing
about that with the Hermes Franca fight it was kind of a point fighting. MMA back then didn't really like point fighters. Do you think that it was kind of like a setup where, because you were just fighting in MMA, you had 2 fights, right? And your ground game was not there, but then they wanted that fight to happen so badly.
Yeah, I wanted it too. I got a lot of money for that fight, you know.
And they kind of knew that you were outspoken, so they used that as a way to sell.
Yeah, the AFC at the time, the War Memorial was the UFC's minor league, and they put it together. You're right, but hey, I was never afraid to fight anybody. And when I fought him, I didn't train or prepare mentally.
I think that happens that happened to Raymond Daniels, where you're at a high level and you're fighting, and then he had a fight in MMA and he lost. Because he didn't have no ground.
But here's the thing, though, I will never forget. I lost to Hermes Franca. I came back, won 3 fights in a row. If you remember, 3 opponent fights. But that's what launched me to Dana White calling me, sending me to the UFC, to the Ultimate Fight, for the Ultimate Fighter.
So that's the thing. People say that now, in the later part of your career, that there's like, you have a garbage fights or like fixed opponents.
I'm just fighting who wants to fight me. That's pretty much it.
So I know, but you have your fights. You have your fights with the top, top class people,
Chris Algieri,
top ranked people. Chris Algieri, that
talk about him who fought Manny Pacquiao.
Okay.
I broke.
But do you think that those fights are more like because some people say that they take it so serious that you're fighting. They say it's almost like like it downgrades all your other accomplishments, and you're fighting maybe some unknown people. Do you think that affects, or like? Because you are making money as well in these fights. I do tell people that when they tell me about this, because they talk to me about this, and I tell them that you're doing it, number one, it's an entertainment thing that people are following you. You're making money selling tickets. You know what I mean? But what do you have to say about people that say that?
At age 44, in recent years, let's say the last 4 or 5 years, I fought, pretty much whoever wanted to fight me. They're probably no names. But here's the thing, at my age, what do people mean? I'd rather be doing that and training to fight anybody than to be sitting on a couch or, just bragging about how good I was. At least I stayed active. And as far as the opponents I'm fighting, you got to give them respect, because they stepped up in the ring against me when a lot of other people could have done it. And as far as making money, at this point in my career, I'm just adding on to what I've already done. I got nothing else to prove. I fought the best of the best. Think about it. Pedro, Xavier, Brady's. I fought Nasty. I fought Mike.
Who's better? Who was harder for you? Raymond Daniels or Pedro Xavier?
Pedro was.
Pedro. So do you think that the 90s was harder than the top fighters of the 2000s? Or the quality?
I mean, the 80s was a skilled era, and I was there my rookie year, 87 to 1990. But the fighters in the 90s were really explosive, man, and the skill set was amazing. And Raymond Daniels could have hung in any era. He's perhaps.
I think back then what there was is like there's one Raymond Daniels now, but back then there was like 10 Raymond Daniels in one division. That's what I kind of explained to people.
Absolutely.
And not saying that he was like Pedro's better. I'm just saying there was that quality, I think, right? But Pedro gave you the tougher fight.
Pedro, to me,
compare Raymond, who gave you who's harder, Pedro or Raymond?
I mean,
Pedro.
Pedro was. I mean, I tied Pedro once in a team match, but I fought Pedro about 4 times. He beat me every time by 1 or 2 points. But man, that guy was like, I mean, you just like playing laser. You're being shot at by lasers with that leg he had.
So what's next for you as far as the martial arts? Are you gonna train people? Are you interested in doing seminars or giving back to the sport?
Seminars.
You're giving back into sport in any way. I know you have your league,
right?
And a lot of times I see champions just disappear and fade off into the sunset. But are you gonna do that? You're gonna still be part of the sport?
I'm still gonna train. Because I love training. I'm still gonna teach, and if I can help anybody that wants to succeed in the sport, I'm not gonna go all out and be a trainer, show up to every tournament. But if I can help anybody become a champion, one-on-one behind the scenes, I'll do that as a mentor.
You're retiring, right? But You've retired before.
Nah,
Right?
I said I was.
I'm asking a hard question here for my brother. Okay, so this is for real.
Yeah, this is for real.
What if somebody offers you money to fight in something and
I'm
it's a
not
good
gonna lie
amount?
to you. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Like Mayweather. Yeah.
See,
Nah,
here's the thing
Mayweather
what people
retired.
understand. See, yeah, Mayweather just.
If the money's right, you'll
So if the money's right, you know, I'll talk to my wife Lucy. I don't make any decisions without her, and we'll talk about it. So, see, for this fight, what people understand, if I win this fight, I'm gonna walk out with a $5,000 check, and I'm only fighting this one match. It could have been anybody, you know, but this is the one guy that took the fight. So, if the money's right, I'll listen. But I'm pretty much done.
All right, okay. So one more question for you. You got all these investments, you're making all this money. Can I get a loan? Hey, Point Fighter Radio, Manny Reyes here. Catch the fight. Hope you enjoy it. Power, baby. Woo! Triumph, success, power, money. Woo!